All right, everybody. Time for some serious games here. No more joking around. We got some serious 1v1 action going on here. I am HarlequinCoHO, and today we've got a battle between the stroms. We have Nystrom playing on his air account, nystromA1R in the south. And in the north, we have Stahlstrom. And we're going to have an awesome-looking 1v1 game between the two of them here. So Stahlstrom, we'll just go ahead and take a look at everybody right now. Stahlstrom, great blitzkrieg player. Haven't looked up in a while. Top 10 player. Really good guy. Infantry pillage, flares, rocket barrage, manpower blitz, and heavy armor support. I pretty much love all of these things. Really good abilities there for blitzkrieg players. Kind of got a lot of punch in a lot of different directions. Meanwhile, we'll see that he had his first pioneers go ahead and build his Wehrmacht quarters, and the Berger Panzer pioneers moving on out right off the bat. That was his second guys, actually. I lied. His first guys are way down over here. Look at that. Pays to pay attention to detail. Anyhow, so Berger's Panzer Pioneers, level 5. They have a Panzer Shrek, and there are 3 of them, amongst other fun little things. Can't build anything other than defensive stuff. Meanwhile, we will see that it looks like Nystrom went for the standard, ally opening of just getting a barracks right off the bat, getting riflemen right out of that, and giving us a little bit of a surprise, going for the skilled riflemen, oddly enough. I suppose it's his new account, and he just, not a new account, but you know what I mean. He's busy leveling that account up, and just one for the easy heroes, but we will see some Wilsons later on too. So he's got a whole bunch of them. But skilled riflemen, hey, why not, man? They're just a little bit more. They've got the accuracy and all that sort of stuff. So gonna just check out the rest of this game here and see what's going on. Let me go ahead and do a quick run through on what we got here for Nystrom. Nystrom has the airdrop smoke, air reconnaissance, strafing run, and airdropped supply drops. Airdropped supply drops. They were dropped drops. Cool abilities. Again, I was surprised whenever I don't see, airborne power drops for the troops, I am always a little bit shocked because I always think, oh, that's a fun part of being air commanders, that you can, kind of flank in with paratroopers and things like that. But we'll see none of that today, but we will see a great synergy between Army and abilities and that sort of stuff. So, if I could find some riflemen, I'd show you their upgrades. But for the meantime, we'll see that we do have 3 engineer upgrades right here. Moderate health regen, minesweeper, and capture points. No rifles. I'm seeing that increasingly often here. And in the other corner here, it looks like we have Wilson's riflemen coming out. You can already see the bar upgrade coming out for them. Meanwhile, let's go ahead and take a look at Stahlstrom's. Bargain Volksgrenadiers were the first out there, and the Pioneers here. Pioneers, by the way, are carrying Carabiner 98K rifles with 16% increased health. And otherwise, just a little bit of skirmishing going on here. These Berger's Pioneers are really good at just kind of, doing their thing. The bazooka guy. I say bazooka. I know, I'm going to get a lot of flack for that, sorry. But, the Panzer Shrek dude is always there for comic relief. You never know quite what he's going to do. Like that. Like, sometimes it's, wildly ineffective. Other times it's great. Oh, we have Bazooka Joe. So we got the Battle of the Bazookas here today. Bazooka Joe, my favorite element of the Wilson's Rifleman squad. So he is just, he's got one of the best places in my heart for any little guy out there. So hopefully he'll be okay. We'll keep an eye on him as the game progresses. But we do have this open combat HMG team out here. These guys are particularly brutal, but we will see that it looks like he's going to go ahead and not know where to fire and fire at the... Oh, it looks like he's taking out an engineer, but we do have Wilson's Rifleman coming right around for a nice flank. Unfortunately, he has opted not to get any sort of early game munitions and is now even getting disconnected, so his early munitions are kind of terrible. No hand grenades yet or anything like that. And I'm going to pause and just note real quick what both players did right off the bat. You'll see that his riflemen up here are actually recapping this point, but both of them capped this major area, so this major area here on the left and this major area here on the right, the one that usually controls the victory point, and skipped their fuel and munitions and opted to go ahead and grab them later. So he kind of left them behind for, so that he could get it later on. It's a more aggressive, it's a faster way to push out, but you don't have the early benefit of the 10 munitions or 5 fuel. The 5 fuel is a low fuel point, so it's not that important right away. But I love grabbing munitions early on, so I was surprised to see that. Getting back into the action, notice this is kind of clever on his part. Stahlstrom is not retreating, even though he is retreating by all observable observations. By all observations, he is retreating. Now, you'll notice that it looked like he was trying to sucker these Wilson's Riflemen just into the range of the bunker, and then he could have just sat right down, turned around, and opened fire on everybody. If you're not familiar with Open Combat HMG Team, by the way, at level 5, some of their noteworthy things are they do a lot more damage to suppressed units, and they also increase the reload speed of all units around them. Kind of a weird little reload aura they have there. So kind of cool. You know, definitely a different unit than, say, you know, Fatherland HMG. But again, I want to just pause and point out what happened over here was we had a single unit came down for Stahlstrom and disconnected this whole territory. He captured this one point here on the right, and it's always important to be paying attention to the chessboard and just kind of looking at weaknesses in your opponent's capture strategy and just trying to chop up their territory, because disconnected territories, everything away that is not connected to your home base, does not produce any resources for you. So very important to just notice. And you'll see, once again, he did it right here too. He just disconnected this whole territory. So just kind of snipping apart and taking advantage of the fact that it looks like Nystrom just kind of skipped a lot of, you know, he left kind of a patchwork kind of control over the board right away. So we'll see where that's going. Meanwhile, we have some Pioneers just kind of poking around, resupplying Pioneers in the back. And not much else. A little bit of skirmishing going into the middle. Gonna try and catch up with that there. Close combat Volksgrenadiers are on the field now for Stahlstrom. Now, these guys, I just love them. They all have MP40s. Really, really effective in close range combat. And there's, you know, some tactics to look at for how to engage them if you're having trouble with them. But for now, we're not really going to see too much of that. So, looking around, looking around. A little bit of skirmishing going on here. Now you'll see that where this map is going to go, this is going to tend towards the typical sort of symmetry of this map. You'll notice that the center road here is the kind of the most distinguishing feature about this map. Lined with hedges and very inaccessible. It's only accessible across the bottom, across the middle, and across the top. And so very naturally, just because the left and right passages are so difficult due to the terrain, you'll notice that this map tends to orient itself vertically. You tend to have left control and right control like we do now. It's very awkward to control the bottom half or the top half because your territories are split in half. We'll see this open combat HMG team is just kind of setting up right here, along with the close combat folks. And even Wilson's riflemen would be well advised to get away from that scene. That's kind of a mess there. And it looks like we got the Bargain Volksgrenadiers capping up here as well. So what I was going to say was, I've seen this in a couple games now, and you guys have probably heard me comment this in a couple games. Nice little flanking going on up here. We'll see these regular riflemen, by the way, do have the increased armor and accuracy, not the sight range, oddly enough. Here they are, increased armor and increased accuracy. So we've seen 5 of the upgrades so far, so there's 3 more upgrades hovering around out there for our allied player. Anyhow, what I was going to say is that the top player, their natural expansion is kind of this way. This is the easiest way for them to capture. It's wide open for them and it's well defended, whereas this is a little bit more awkward and they kind of have to push through a city and that sort of thing. Likewise, the right-hand side is the most natural place for the allied player to capture. And so really the challenge in this map, regardless of who's ally and who's axis, is the northern player has to worry about how they're going to get control of the right, because they have to deal with this sort of awkward bifurcation of the map. And that's the challenge, is not to be content in capturing your whole side of the map, because the ally player will very happily sit here. In fact, in 1 second when this finishes capturing, if this one up here is going to finish capturing, this was the exact map scenario we saw for inverse. This is very common. Allies have no trouble grabbing onto this kind and just sitting here. At this point, if he can hold on to this, he is going to win the game. And all Nystrom has to do is exactly what we saw Inverse do in a previous game on this map, which is just apply pressure on the left and keep all the forces fighting on the left so that you don't have to worry about it. Look at all this fighting going on here. Oh, we got the triple grenades going off. It looks like double grenade. There's the third one. And even a single mortar round landing over there. So just putting some pressure on this bunker that's being built up here. And at first I was like, why do you want a bunker here? It's kind of an odd place to put a bunker, but it looks like he's going to upgrade it to a medical bunker, which means he's preparing to kind of launch a long campaign down here on the right. And I like that mentality, because that's the challenge to overcome. How do you take the right-hand side without being too distracted on the left? And we will see that Stahlstrom is familiar with this, and he's going to do it. So I kind of challenge all players out there in this situation, as the top player, try going for the right-hand side first even, because that's what you need to control. It's very hard to control this point as the top player, but put pressure on it. See what you can do. I'm interested to see more strategies out there for this, because I really do think that this map favors the southern player at least a little bit. At least a little bit. Anyhow, moving around, we do have our minesweeping engineers kind of just, playing the passive-aggressive war back here, capping around. I'm surprised that they're passing up on this. You'll see I'm able to select a Krieg barracks somehow. There we go. Look at this. If I select right here, I get a Krieg barracks. One of my favorite little odd bugs. Filled out a whole bug report for it, but I'd imagine it's pretty low on the priority list. Anyhow, looks like both of our units, both of these machine guns and the close combat, oh sorry, those are bargain folks, are kind of retreating here for Stahlstrom. Stahlstrom having recently activated infantry pillage and then just kind of backing away from it again. Nice little accomplished mortar team, you know, putting some pressure out there. And now we're kind of stabbing out, just kind of, you know, regaining symmetrical control. But you can see the problem with this is that even just getting a little bit of progress over here risks this entire open side of the map for him. It's very hard to defend both at once. And what I really want to see is that open combat HMG team kind of nestle in right down here. That would be a great tactic, because you don't really care about all these cap points and this and that. That's all just kind of bonus if you can hold on to it. Really, you just want to secure this area and just kind of prevent yourself being flanked, and maybe have some infantry close by up here just to kind of, you know, cover if you need it. But you want something solid down there that'll prevent stupid little caps from happening. And so here we go. We do have Nystrom hanging out here. Notice, by the way, habits of good players. He's in territory that he knows he probably can't control for the whole game, and so he minds it up a little bit. He knows this is a great path. If you're fighting back and forth, somebody's going to walk across that eventually. And opening fire right now on this little guy running away. It looks like he's going to be okay. Little pioneer running away. And already we see these medics are getting some use. We'll have to see how tolerant nystromA1R is of medics in this game so far. Bargain Volksgrenadiers looking to cap, and for the most part, now this is an interesting tactic here. Stahlstrom understands that this is a tough fight because you have to deal with all these buildings and the fact that, you know, you can hide units in them and machine guns. And he just sits here, and while he's fighting on his front, his anti-tank gun and his mortars just going to knock down all these buildings. He doesn't care. Just kill all the buildings, take them out of the equation. You know, this is shoot the hostage speed logic, I suppose. Just, you know, just kill the buildings then. If the buildings are a problem, just kill them. Don't even wait for MGs to get set up in them or riflemen or anything like that. Blow them up. So I like that. You know, just totally preemptive on his part. He knows it's going to be a bunch of crap. Just kill him. We'll notice that Nystrom went ahead and back-teched for a weapon support center. I guess it's not a back-tech. It's, you know, tier 2. And nice little flare going off here. So a little bit of scouting going on, or something to that effect. Or is he supply dropping? What am I seeing here? Nope, he's just getting flared up right there, so that's pretty cool. Anyhow, you'll see he's also very aggressively using his own scout plane. So now Nystrom is, of course, complaining a little bit about the fact that his houses are all under siege, and that this is his, you know, it's a timeshare, man. He was hoping to make a profit on that in 4 years, and here you are blowing holes in the wall. It just does terrible things to the real estate value out there. And, you know, Stahlstrom, of course, the invading German player, not too concerned about that sort of thing. So meanwhile, just kind of, like I said, early game stuff, just kind of skirmishing around here, and both of them are kind of struggling with this idea that the Allied player wants the right-hand side, and the German player simply wants to lightly defend the left-hand side so he can stab into the right-hand side. And you'll see that for the, you know, for the most part, it seems that Stahlstrom has successfully done this. He's keeping pressure on the left a little bit here. He hasn't quite got this point, but he's got a nice control over it. What with the close combat Volks and this regular old HMG team. Notice HMG team does have a blue item for 15% increased damage there. And looking okay. Did manage to get this point as well. So he is, you know, just kind of struggling along here, being able to cap the left and the right-hand sides, trying to force this into a top versus bottom match instead of a left versus right. Which is a little bit easier to hold on to. Skilled rifleman here, putting some pressure, and they're just going to back out of there right away. Now Stahlstrom is just letting him know that he has destroyed 2/3 of the residential property out here. I guess this shack maybe doesn't count as a house, but, you know, lots of little stupid things out here. Meanwhile, we do have, it looks like, Bargain Volks